Hi guys, so New Year's is literally around the corner. We have 2 days left, so I thought why not kill two birds with one stone. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, so I'm finally sitting down to do it. And what this will be is pretty much a year/decade in review for myself and kind of for you guys. I'm going to go over just a few lessons that I've learned in the past 10 years, as well as a few tips and just advice for you guys going into the next 10 years of your life that hopefully will help for a better decade. So I will be looking at my phone because I did write down the lessons that I could think of at the moment. Obviously, I have learned more lessons than just what's written here in 10 years that, this decade had. But these are some of the main ones that I could think of, so that's what I am going to discuss. And without further ado, I just want to start by saying that 2019 was definitely a year of just resetting and relearning myself, the people around me, and just everything overall. So in general, it was the year of the reset button. I am personally someone who likes to honor where I've been, where I plan to go, and where I currently am. So that is one of the main reasons I wanted to do this video, in addition to just the fun fact that I thought it would be cool. So lesson number 1 is be mindful of what you allow yourself to consume. So I have written down bad news, social media, and just things that journey you in general. For me, one of the things that this can be attributed to is I had to learn that I don't need to be in the know all the time, and this is not in the know with like drama or things of that nature, because I don't really care about things like that. For me, this was personally that I had to learn to be careful of the amount of like the news that I consume, especially with the headlines that we see now. It's just usually very negative, and I got to a point I felt like I was just hearing about people dying every day. And so one of the things that I personally do, I don't immediately look at my phone when I wake up in the morning anymore, and my family knows how to contact me if there's an emergency. But that was just something that I could do that I felt helped me. And I was just becoming very mindful of what I was consuming. And social media, for me personally, I've never really had an issue with what I consume on social media, because I pay attention to who I follow and just what I see. Because to me, I don't want it on my timeline if I'm not interested in it. But I see a lot of the time that other people try to blame social media for the way they're feeling. Like, there are people that I see this post all the time. The post, it says, you can flex for social media if you want to, but us or me over here, I'm struggling. And it's like, I mean, obviously, yeah, there are people who quote unquote flex for social media, but there are actually people who work hard for what they have. And in general, that's my cat running through the hallway. In general, they aren't flexing. They are able to live that lifestyle. So like, I personally don't see a successful person, and the immediate thing for me is feeling inferior. Like, I've never been that type of person, but I feel like a lot of people allow other people's success to make them feel like crappy and think about all the things they didn't do in life, and that's really no one's fault but your own. So I don't know, like, I think just be mindful of what you consume. If you don't like successful people, don't follow successful people. Don't go online throwing shade about people living a life that they don't really live. Like, I don't care if you post about a life you're not really living. Like, that's you. If that's how you feel you have to live, whatever. We probably have no like connection or real life anything. So I'm cool with that. Like, do whatever you want to do, like, I don't care. And then in addition, I follow people that I feel like just add to what I like and what I'm doing. Like, there's person whose page I go to probably every day just to check, because they post like really positive things and just knowledgeable things that I like to read about. So that is how, one of the ways that I'm mindful of what I consume. Like, I don't follow things I'm not interested in. Simple. And also, the last thing that I think I mentioned was about draining things and people in general. The people around you can be very draining, and that can be a part of what you consume. Like, if the people around you are just bringing you negative news, bringing you things that don't pertain to you anymore, just constantly everything bad is going wrong with them, around them, like, you probably need to make some adjustments, because that's not going to be very positive in your life and probably won't make you feel the best. My next lesson that I have written down is know when to walk away. And with this, obviously, it's not knowing when to walk away from a relationship. Yes, that is part of it, but that's not all of it. This is mainly talking about, what are you willing to let go of, and talking about letting go of things like resentment, wanting closure that you'll just never get, anger, and the inability to forgive, because I feel like those are things that we find it very hard to let go of. We aren't able to forgive ourselves because, believe it or not, a lot of the things that we allow to go on in our life, including people treating us very crappy, is our fault. It's partly our fault as well, because yes, that's where we are at that point in life, but we have to take our own responsibility in what we allow. And so I think it's very difficult for us to forgive ourselves in that aspect. And so that's just something that I wanted to write and just say, it's okay to forgive yourself. And you need to let go of the inability to forgive or just resentment, because when you think about it, in the end, who is that resentment hurting? Those people who were very shitty to you, or just evil people in general, they're going on with their life. Like, when I tell you, evil people, if that's who they are, they're going to go on and continue to be evil. They're not going to sit and be like, I shouldn't have treated Buffy like that. I shouldn't have treated such and such like that. Like, no, they're probably going on and living their best life, which is not the best life that we think of. But they're not thinking about you. So when you hold on to that, you're only hurting yourself. And with thinking about knowing when to let go, I want you guys to think about, why is it important to let go? How will letting go of these things help you? And just in general, believing that you deserve better, working towards better. And ask yourself, what have those things cost you? Like, what has the anger and resentment that you are holding on to cost you? Those things can cost you the ability to create better relationships and friendships and things like that, because you're holding on to all of the things that have happened to you negatively. You're bringing it into these new situations, and you keep trying to attribute those things to your now, and you keep living in that moment. So when someone decent, a good friend, a good spouse, or whoever comes along, you keep holding on to everything that has happened 20 years ago. Obviously not 20 years ago, that's an exaggeration, but you're holding on to that moment that you can't even see what's happening in front of you, and you can't even allow yourself to receive better, because you're still focused on, well, that person hasn't apologized to me 10 years ago. So no, like, just learn to let go, and just live and move on, and just understand sometimes you won't get that closure. Sometimes you won't get that I'm sorry. sometimes people generally don't care. They're narcissist people and they don't care. The next lesson is it's okay to say no. And with this, it's basically knowing that it is okay and it's mandatory for people to respect your boundaries. Whether that's a friend, partner, or family member, you don't have to live the life that somebody else wants for you. If it's not for you, it's not what you want to do, you can say no and move on with your life. And if there's something that you don't want to do, the people around you should respect that. And for example, I personally do not drink, but everyone around me is aware of that. And if they ask and I say no, it's usually done. Like, my friends and my family respect that. Like, they'll joke with me, but I don't think anyone's ever seriously like, Buffy, you need to drink or something like that. Like, they respect that boundary with me. And in addition to that, don't do anything unless you're ready and you want to. And that can go for like just multiple things. Going back to what I said about like living the life that family or somebody else wants for you. If you feel like you're not going to be happy doing something, say no. No, I don't think I'll be happy doing that. I don't think I'll be happy being the doctor of the family. I want to do something else. And especially if you come from like a background of like immigrants or just family that, you know, they want you to be the top of the top, which it's always good to be the top of the top. But if you don't want to be like a lawyer, doctor, I don't know, whatever fancy thing out there that your family wants for you, and you have another goal and dream, yes, you're gonna have to deal with the life that you may have as a result. But I think happiness is way more important than being something else that somebody else wants you to be. That's just me personally. Lesson number, I don't know. There's power in keeping a positive mindset. With that, this is just basically the main gist of this is knowing how to talk to yourself and understanding there is a lot of power in words, the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you speak to others. And I know that sometimes we get to at points in life where things aren't going the best, but when you're constantly talking to yourself and you're like, I'm not good enough, I'll never be able to do this, I'll never be able to do that, other people are doing this so I can't do it, then you kind of start believing that because that's all you ever hear. So just simple and short, but very important. Always try to keep a positive mindset. I know you won't do it 100% of the time, but at least try to do it 90% of the time. The other lesson and a piece of advice is write your goals down, because manifestation is key. I can't tell you how many times I do this every year. I write down a set of goals that I have for myself, and then I go back and I look at those goals. And it helps a lot because going back and being able to check things off of the list, or being able to see that you are actively completing what you set out for yourself to do, gives you just a sense of like gratification and just, you know, feeling accomplished. Like, even if you don't get everything off of the list done, it still helps. And it helps when you get in those, you know, those ruts where you feel like, dang, I'm not doing so well. You can go back to this list and you can be like, okay, well, I've crossed a decent amount off. Or you can have it as motivation. You can have it as the blueprint that you can always reference and be like, okay, well, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to complete. And these are my goals. And you can just go back to that. So that is why I personally write things down. And I just like seeing it on paper. I feel like putting it to paper brings it to life. Oh, this is one of my favorite, yet it's very, and it is that we all have our own epiphanies at different stages. This is very true, and I had to learn this, and it helped me become less offended by people just working out their particular stage of being human. Because I think the younger me used to be like, I've always been pretty mature for my age, and so like I always kind of expected that from other people. And this, keeping that in mind has just helped me realize that, you know, it's kind of like when you're telling someone that they deserve better, they're in a situation and you're like, you know, you deserve way more than this. You deserve to be treated better, and you want them to leave the situation, but they won't. And it's like you reach that epiphany and you're like, okay, I deserve better. I would never stand for that and stuff like that. And so you can't really understand why that person's still willing to deal with that. And they haven't, you know, a lot of people just take time to reach that understanding and to learn to love themselves and just learn to want more. And in general, to learn about life. And with this, also, I think it's very important to try to be empathetic and just understand that people take time to work out different stages in life. I feel like in today's time, we immediately want to belittle people, especially if it comes to them not knowing like some knowledge that we know. Instead of informing, we immediately gravitate towards, oh, I'm going to belittle you because I know more than you. You're stupid. So, you know, it's very important to kind of have that understanding. I believe it helps in life. And it helps you not argue with people, because I used to be like trying to beat a dead horse, like trying to teach people and, you know, inform them at times, and they simply didn't want to be informed. And maybe later on they will be, and I've seen people later on. Moving on, I've come to realize that when you have a gift, no matter how hard you try to run away from it, you're going to keep being pushed back towards it until you're forced to just dive in and use it. And so I just think it's important, even if a million people are doing what you're doing, use your gift and don't run from it. You know, it may make others uncomfortable to see you doing what you're meant to do. It may make others uncomfortable seeing you just in general being you. But let me tell you something. Someone who settles for crumbs in general will definitely not understand somebody who wants the whole meal. I am not someone who's going to settle for crumbs. I don't want the crumbs. I want the meal. My other lesson is to pay attention to your health, and this is mental and physical, you know, because in general your health is in your hands, and that involves paying attention to what you consume and what you eat, and just making sure that you're giving yourself enough exercise, making sure that you're taking care of yourself and your body, your mind, and just your soul in general, just taking care of everything. And in addition to this, where I'm saying taking care of your health, I want to make the note that your mental health being in a poor state is not an excuse to be a shitty person. It's not. I feel like if you are fully aware and you know that your mental health, you are not mentally where you need to be, it is your job to make sure that you are actively trying your best, whether that means going to see someone or just working it out however you see best to be the best version of yourself. That is your responsibility. But it is not an excuse to say, well, such and such happened to me. I'm going to be a shitty person and be mean to everyone, and I have an excuse because that happened. That's not how life works. We all go through things, and it depends on you how you work through it. My next lesson is to take time off and take time to yourself, whether that's vacation or spending time with your family. I know we all have seen that meme where it's like, if you die today, your job will replace you tomorrow. This is a fact. That is very true. So make sure that you are taking the time off to enjoy life, see your family grow, and just be by their sides and just take time to yourself. Like, I make sure that I take at least a day, if not more, a week to myself, and or just with my family, and I just use that time to kind of reflect and see where I am mentally, what I need to do, and how I can just help myself be better, and just to have that time to relax. And that's what I do. My next lesson is to find the lesson in things that happen or have happened. Personally, I think that you can find some of your best lessons in your mistakes. Obviously, it kind of teaches you what not to do and just kind of gives you a reference point and lets you kind of build from that and learn what do you want for yourself, what you're willing to accept, and things of that nature. I also feel like doing this has helped me realize that I'm not always right, and it's made me aware more and just made me more comfortable with wanting to know where can I personally make changes, because that is one of our hardest things to do, is to understand you're not always right and you do make mistakes. And so I feel like, especially this year, I've been able to just be honest with myself, be honest with others, and work on what's wrong with me, because whether you guys want to believe it or not, it's not always the other person. So you have to be willing to work on yourself, and sometimes it could be partially you and that person. And so depending on what you both want, you can work on yourselves and then come back and work together, whether that's a friendship, family relationship, whatever it is. Just kind of be mindful that you are not always right. And in that, I feel like I've kind of been able to just look back at things and have like neutral understanding. It's like you don't feel angry, you don't feel hate, you just have like a neutral, I see the lesson, I see what I was meant to be taught. And you just, yes, you're like, oh, it probably didn't have to happen, but it happened, and you grow from it. And I feel like learning, if you can learn from something, then it's good. And so I've just been able lately to just look back at things and just go with a neutral mindset and just kind of feel light about it. And it's not any anger, it's not any hatred, it's like it happened and I've learned from it, and I see what I need to do and I see what I don't need to do, and that's it. My next lesson is enjoying the now moment in your life, because I feel like sometimes we get so caught up with like wanting to achieve and be at a different point in our life, we're not seeing the lessons that we're being taught at this surface level, and we're not appreciating everything that we've accomplished. And that is why like I like to write things down, that way I can go back and look at things, because we get so caught up sometimes in wanting more, wanting things to happen right now, that you miss all the amazing things that are happening, and you kind of start being a little ungrateful. You don't see that you are like 50 steps ahead of what you wanted and where you were, because you're so focused on what you want to happen in however many years from now or whatever, that you totally forget everything that's happening right now. So one of my main advice is just making sure that you live in this moment. Obviously, plan for more, want for more, but take the time to appreciate what you have right now and what is going on right now for you. So my next lesson is that life will never be drama free. You pretty much just have to know how to deal with it and what you want to deal with. Because there will always be those people who don't have anything to lose, who will constantly try to pull you into things and just, you know, just who build and thrive off of negativity and just being in drama because they don't have anything going on for themselves, or they hate their lives or their family situation, or just whatever this case may be. They look for excitement through drama, and you just have to learn how to filter those people out. Be like Omarion, all 2020. If you know Omarion, you catch the reference, hopefully. Otherwise, basically, no response, in other words. My second favorite lesson is be your own soulmate. So with this, I kind of think that we should all try to be like our own soulmate, but it's okay to let people add to it. And with that, I mean, I feel like a lot of people look for someone to complete them, and just, you know, they're unhappy in their life and they're just like, oh, well, I need to find someone in order to be complete. And that's actually not the case. In that instance, I feel like that's when you need to work on yourself the hardest, and you need to be okay and content with who you are, what you have to offer, what you have going on, and be prepared and willing to allow someone into that space to add to it, but not to complete you, because you should be kind of whole on your own. Like I don't know, it always made me cringe, like when guys said stuff like that, like, you complete me, like that makes me cringe, because I feel like you should be complete. Like, I don't want to complete anyone. Like, I want you to be complete. I just want us to, you know, because at the end of it, you are your own person. Whether you're married, I think that it's important to, yes, be a couple, but you should still maintain your individuality as one and one. Like, you should still continue to do it, the kind of the things that you love within a respectable boundary. You should still have that sense of you. And I tell people this all the time, thinking that falling in love, and I feel really bad for people who feel like having kids or wanting kids to complete them, because then it's like you were going into this with a lack of self, and you're begging these people to fix you. These people should just come and add to your happiness. Like, a kid should add to your happiness. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm about to have this kid so I could feel better. Like, no, that sounds crazy to me. You will never be the best mom, the best wife, the best friend if you're looking for someone to complete you and you don't love yourself first. Literally, nobody deserves the burden of coming in to complete you. You need to be complete on your own, and like I said, have people come in and add to that. And so I've always kind of made that the main thing for me, and I've always been mindful of that. Like, if I feel like I need to take that time to myself, I'm going to take that time to myself, because at the end of it, you're an individual. And I definitely, at an age, had to realize and see. Saw my mom outside of, she's a mother, she's a spouse. Outside of that, I had to be like, okay, well, who is she? You know, and I wanted my mom to have a sense of individuality. And so that's just been something that's always been very important. Like, I don't think anybody should get into a relationship or have kids and lose themselves. Like I said, yes, do things in a respectful, boundary way, but always maintain who you are. My next lesson is build a strong support system, which that could be small or large depending on the type of person you are, the amount of people you know. But you know, your friends should kind of want to see you elevate, and they should be happy when those things happen. And side note, while I'm talking about amazing support systems, I already took my lashes off and I was about to like undo everything. But I wanted to give a special thank you to the amazing support system that I have, especially my sister, because this video probably would not have happened without her, because I am sick, as y'all can probably tell in my voice, and I did not want to wake up or do anything. And she sent me a text message telling me to get my behind up and to do these videos. So because of her encouragement and just her being the person that she is, I was able to find the encouragement that I needed and to get up and do this video. So shout out to my support system, her and my other amazing best friends who have been there for me. I thank you guys. I feel like with this, sometimes you have to let people kind of figure out their stuff on their own, whether that involves you coming along or you not coming along. Whatever people see that's best for them in the end, if they feel like in order to be the best version of them that they can no longer have you in their circle, yes, it may suck, but at the same time it's like, I care about you and I want the best for you. If you feel like the best for you is a life where you completely revamp everything and you live a new lifestyle, I'm okay with that. Like, it's all love, and it should always be all love, because people deserve to be happy, and whether that happiness includes you or not, I feel like if you really care about people, you'd be okay with that. Like, so what I want you guys to think of before you write your goals or whatever else for the upcoming decade is to simply reflect on the last 10 years of your life. There has to be something in here that you can relate to what I'm about to say. I want you to think about what you are proud of, what have you accomplished, and what you would like to accomplish. And in addition, what obstacles did you overcome in this last 10-year span? You can look at old photos, look at, you know, some journals. And when I look at my journals, I'm like, oh my God, what was I going through? And just think about the major changes that you've made. Take the time to stop and just absorb and be proud of what you did and what you want to do. Because I feel like honestly our lives can be like so fast paced that you don't even think about everything that's happened in the last 10 years. I promise you, when I was sitting down and I started going back through pictures and I was going to do like a picture for each year, and I started thinking about the things that happened in that time, I'm like, wow, I didn't even, you know, like grasp that this was happening as it was happening, but it did. And so I think that's why I started boohoo crying, because I was like, oh my God, I went through all of this. But at the same time, it was like tears of sadness and tears of joy, because it was like, wow, I went through this and I made it through this. So I also want you guys to think about what was the most important moment and what are you proud of the most from the past 10 years of your life. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it's kind of long, but I hope that you guys got some amazing just advice and just enjoyed listening to me talk about these things. I know, like I said, once I started this decade, I was going through a lot. I was dealing with the loss of my mother, dealing with being adopted, dealing with so much. And now I'm at this point, you know, I'm that little girl that came over, immigrant from the Bahamas, and now I'm here. I've done so much. My sister and I have done so much, and I am just very proud when I look back and I think about who we are today. I'm I'm very proud, and I'm very honored that I got to live the 10 years that I have. It dragged me by my wig starting off, but I made it through.